Cal Mercer laughed the first time the old International 706 pulled where his new tractor could not. He laughed harder 3 days later, when he dumped a wash tank full of black cattle supplement over the woman driving it. But by breakfast the next morning, 3 men in dark coats were standing in her machine shed, and one of them asked a question Cal would remember for the rest of his life. "Mrs. Bennett, do you want us to freeze Mercer Grain's entire account?" The morning before that question, Leah Bennett had been standing beside a 1966 International Harvester 7.6 in Pawnee County, Nebraska, tightening a fuel line with a wrench polished smooth by 40 years of hands. The tractor had sunburned red paint, a cracked vinyl seat, and more than 11,000 hours on its meter. It also started every morning. Across the county road, Cal Mercer's operation looked like a dealership display. 2,400 acres, climate-controlled cabs, satellite steering, grain carts tall enough to block the horizon. His newest tractor cost more than every building on Leah's farm combined. Cal liked equipment people could see from the highway. Leah liked equipment that came home after dark. That difference had bothered him for years. "Still nursing that relic," he shouted from beside his new 4-wheel drive tractor. Leah did not look up, still earning with it. A few hired men laughed. Cal stepped closer to the ditch. "That thing belongs behind velvet rope." Leah wiped diesel from her thumb. "Then it would stop being useful." The laughter thinned. Cal had expected embarrassment. Leah gave him a maintenance answer. That was how she handled most insults. She did not swallow them, she simply refused to feed them. The Bennett place covered 160 acres of dry land corn, alfalfa, and native grass. It was not famous, it was not large. The mailbox leaned. The west barn still carried hail dents from 1987. A row of cottonwood trees broke the north wind, and the 706 slept in a machine shed built from mismatched lumber. People in town assumed Leah was barely holding on. They were wrong in a very specific way. 16 years earlier, when Leah was 15, her father had lost nearly half a crop because 3 grain elevators gave 3 different answers about moisture, storage space, and trucking windows. One load sat too long, another was rejected. A third spoiled in a steel bin while everyone argued over paper tickets. Leah watched a year of work become a chain of bad information. Her father blamed the weather. Her grandfather blamed the system. "Rain can ruin a field," he told her, "but confusion can ruin a county." He showed her how farmers made decisions then. Weather radio, handwritten bin sheets, phone calls after supper, carbon copy tickets curling in truck cabs. Everybody had a piece of the truth. Nobody had the whole picture soon enough. Leah never forgot that. By 21, she'd built a crude program on a used computer above the farm office. It matched grain moisture, bin capacity, trucking availability, and elevator demand before a truck left the yard. The first version served 4 farms. The second served 37. By 30, the platform had become Prairie Ledger Systems. It coordinated harvest movement for cooperatives, processors, fuel suppliers, and more than 22,000 farms across 9 states. 8 weeks before Cal poured anything over her, a private infrastructure group had purchased a controlling stake for $860 million. Leah still slept in the same upstairs room, overlooking the windbreak. She still packed lunch in a dented steel box. And every Monday before sunrise, she still greased the old 706. The tractor had belonged to her grandfather. He bought it used in 1971 after 2 drought years and 1 good wheat harvest. 93 horsepower, mechanical injection, cast iron heavy enough to punish a soft field. He kept a notebook under the seat with every oil change, belt bearing, hose, and repair written in pencil. Leah added to that notebook. She also built a company worth more than $500 million. Cal knew none of it. To him, Money announced itself with polished paint. That afternoon, a delivery driver backed a tank wagon toward Cal's cattle lot. The hose coupling slipped. Thick black liquid feed surged across the gravel, pooling around the rear tires. Cal's foreman shouted for absorbent. Cal saw Leah across the road, climbing onto the 706. An ugly idea arrived wearing the face of a joke. "Pump it into the rinse tank," he said. His foreman stared at him. "What for?" Cal grinned. "She keeps saying old things can still work. Let's give her something old-fashioned to clean." The men hesitated. Then they followed the boss. Cal drove the wash rig to the fence line while Leah worked the 706 beside a plugged irrigation ditch. The tank held a diluted mix of water, molasses-based supplement, and black mud from the cattle lot. He opened the valve. The first blast hit the rear tire. Leah turned. The second struck her across the back. Black syrup and muddy water soaked her canvas jacket, ran through her hair, and splattered the steering wheel her grandfather had held for decades. Cal's crew laughed because Cal was laughing. A phone came out. Then another. Leah shut off the tractor. The field went quiet except for the pump and the ticking engine. Cal lowered the hose. "Looks newer already." Leah stepped down slowly. Her boots made sticky sounds in the dust. She walked to the front wheel, picked up the grease rag she had dropped, and wiped the tractor's instrument glass before she wiped her own face. That small act unsettled one of the men. Cal did not notice. Leah looked at him. "Your south elevator starts intake at 6 tomorrow, correct?" Cal smirked. "You planning to bring me a load?" "No." She folded the rag once. "I'm planning to see whether you read your contracts before you sign them." Cal laughed again. Leah climbed back onto the 7.6 and drove toward the machine shed, leaving a dark trail down the lane. That night, the video spread through Pawnee County. Most people watched the humiliation. Very few noticed what Leah had said. At 5:42 the next morning, Cal's phone began vibrating on the nightstand. His trucking dispatcher could not access the routing portal. Then the south elevator called. Mercer Grain's delivery windows had been flagged for review. Then a processor in Kansas asked why a compliance hold had appeared beside his company name. Cal pulled on jeans and drove to Leah's farm before sunrise. A black SUV was already there. 3 executives stood inside the Bennett machine shed beside the old 706. The tractor had been washed, but black liquid still clung in the seams around the fenders. Leah sat at a wooden desk under a fluorescent shop light, reading a printed incident report. A man in a charcoal coat turned as Cal entered. "Mr. Mercer." Cal stopped. The man held out a business card. "Daniel Cho, General Counsel, Prairie Ledger Systems." Cal looked at the card, then at Leah. "What is this?" Daniel answered calmly. "Your company uses our network for routing, capacity verification, and processor compliance. Last night we received video showing what appears to be an intentional discharge of livestock supplement and wastewater onto a person and piece of equipment near an open drainage channel." Cal's confidence cracked. It was a joke. Daniel did not blink. "Our clients do not ship food through jokes." Another executive opened a briefcase. "We can suspend access pending environmental and conduct review." Cal turned toward Leah. "You work for them." Leah set down the report. "No, they work for me." The sentence was quiet. That made it land harder. Cal looked around the shed as if the building might explain itself. The warped shelves, the hand tools, the 1966 tractor. The woman in clean overalls with a dark stain still visible beneath one fingernail. Daniel spoke again. "Miss Bennett has authority to freeze your account immediately." Cal's mouth opened, but nothing came out. Leah studied him for a long moment. Then she slid the report back across the desk. "Do not freeze it." Daniel turned. "Are you sure? His harvest starts in 9 days. A suspension would punish his drivers, his landlords, and every family tied to his contracts." Cal looked at her. The woman he had humiliated was protecting people who worked for him. Daniel closed the folder. "We'll document a warning and require remediation." Leah nodded. "Add one more condition." Cal stiffened. She pointed toward the 706. "He cleans the tractor himself." For the first time, one of the executives almost smiled. Cal did not. He spent the next 4 hours with a bucket, a brush, and a set of small picks digging black syrup from bolt heads, linkage joints, wiring clips, and the grooves of the steering wheel. Leah worked beside him without conversation. The job was worse than he expected. The liquid had found every place a careless person would miss. Under the seat pan, around the hydraulic couplers, behind the instrument bezel, into the grain of the cracked rubber. By the second hour, Cal's knees hurt. By the third, his expensive watch had stopped. By the fourth, he understood why Leah had wiped the gauge glass first. The tractor was not junk to her. It was a working record of everybody who had kept the farm alive. When he finished, Leah opened the notebook beneath the seat. Cal saw 50 years of pencil entries. Dates, hours, parts, weather. Notes in 3 different handwritings. She turned to a blank line and handed him the pencil. "Write down what you did." Cal stared at the page. "You want this in there? You put it on the machine. You should be willing to put your name beside it." Cal wrote the date. His handwriting shook. 9 days later, harvest began under a sky the color of dull steel. Cal expected the story to die once the combines moved. It did not. The video kept circulating. At the cafe, conversation stopped when he entered. At the parts counter, an old mechanic looked past him and asked his foreman whether the crew needed anything. A landowner postponed a lease renewal. Cal had spent years building scale. In 12 seconds of video, he had revealed character. The real blow came at the county cooperative meeting. More than 200 farmers crowded into a metal building to hear a presentation about Prairie Ledger's new regional system. Cal arrived late and stayed near the back. Daniel Cho took the stage. He explained how the network had cut rejected loads by 31% in 3 years. How coordinated trucking reduced idle time during peak harvest. How better moisture data helped small farms negotiate instead of simply accept. Then he introduced the system's founder. Leah walked to the front wearing the same work boots she wore in the machine shed. No dramatic music, no grand entrance. Just a room slowly realizing that the quiet farmer they had underestimated had built the infrastructure many of them used every day. Daniel described the acquisition, $860 million. A network serving 22,000 farms. A founder who still reviewed product failures from a desk above a shop. People turned toward Cal. He felt every head before he saw a single face. Leah could have played the video. She could have named him. She could have frozen his contracts, ended leases, or let public anger finish what his pride had started. Instead, she spoke about grain bottlenecks, about how small errors become large losses, about why systems should protect farmers who cannot absorb a bad week. She never mentioned the hose. That mercy was not soft. It gave Cal nowhere to hide. After the meeting, he waited beside the loading dock until the crowd was gone. Leah carried a box of binders toward her truck. Cal removed his cap. "I came to apologize." She kept walking. "I heard you apologize to Daniel. That was because I was afraid of losing access." "Yes," he swallowed. "This one is because I finally saw what I did." Leah set the box on the tailgate. Cal looked toward the empty meeting hall. "I thought money proved who mattered." Leah said nothing. "I thought new equipment proved I was smarter. Bigger acres proved I was safer. I spent so long trying not to look poor that I started treating other people like poverty was a defect." That made her look at him. Cal's father had lost a dairy outside Beatrice in 1984. Milk prices fell. Interest climbed. A bank auction emptied the yard in 6 hours. Cal was 17. He watched strangers inspect his mother's kitchen table. He watched his father stand beside a stock tank with both hands in his pockets because he did not know where else to put them. Cal had made a promise that day. He would own enough that nobody could make him feel small again. He kept expanding long after expansion stopped solving the fear. Leah listened. Then she asked, "What are you going to repair?" Cal frowned. "I said I was sorry, I know. What else do you want? Not what I want." She closed the tailgate. "What are you going to repair?" The question followed him home. For 3 nights, Cal barely slept. On the 4th morning, he drove to the Bennett farm before daylight. Leah was changing a rear hydraulic hose on the 706. Cal stood in the doorway. "I don't know how to answer you." "Then start where you caused damage." "How?" She slid a drain pan beneath the tractor. "Hold the light." That was the first morning. The next week he returned and learned to bleed a fuel system. Then he helped replace a wheel bearing on a widow's hay rake. Then he spent a Saturday hauling scrap from a retired farmer's collapsed shed. Leah did not turn his redemption into a speech. She turned it into work. The first Saturday repair day began with 6 machines. A Farmall H with no spark. A John Deere 4020 leaking from the selective control valve. A rusted swather that had not moved in 11 years. Cal opened his heated shop, paid for common parts, and told every mechanic on his payroll the same thing. No invoices today. Farm families arrived with coffee, cinnamon rolls, children, and old stories. Retired mechanics sat on overturned buckets and taught teenagers how to diagnose a miss by sound. Farmers who could not afford dealer labor left with machines running. Young people learned why clean fuel mattered, why grease mattered, why a handwritten repair log could be more valuable than fresh paint. Cal noticed something he had ignored for years. A farm is not only land and machinery. It is memory organized into useful habits. By winter, the repair day had become a monthly county event. Cal still owned the newest equipment in Pawnee County. He no longer used it as evidence of his worth. The hardest test came the following fall. A drought cut yields across 3 counties. Then, 11 days before harvest, a cracked rail bridge shut down the main outbound line from the regional elevator. The elevator could still take grain. It could not move it fast enough. Storage filled by the hour. A processor in Kansas offered Cal a private solution. Guaranteed delivery windows for every Mercer truck in exchange for an exclusive 3-year supply agreement. The contract was legal. It was also designed to save the largest operation first. Cal sat in his pickup with the papers on the steering wheel. 6 years earlier, he would have signed before calling anyone. Now he opened Prairie Ledger. The county map showed 47 smaller farms behind his reserved windows. Some had no on-farm storage. Some were carrying operating loans due after harvest. A few days of delay would mean moisture penalties, spoilage, or grain sold at whatever price a distant buyer offered. Cal drove to Leah's farm. She was in the machine shed rebuilding the starter from a retired teacher's tractor. He placed the contract on her bench. "They'll protect every load I have." Leah read the first page. "And move everyone else behind you." Cal nodded. "What happens if I refuse?" "You take the same risk they do." He looked toward the 706. For most of his life, risk had been the thing he purchased enough machinery to avoid. "What can the system do?" Leah wiped her hands and opened a county routing screen. Not enough by itself. That answer surprised him. She pointed to the map. The old feed mill at Table Rock still has 2 usable bins. A seed company near the state line has a dryer sitting idle. 3 independent truckers can run nights, but they need fuel credit. The Western Cooperative has rail access, but no labor for a second shift. Cal studied the connections. "What do you need from me?" "Your temporary storage." "That's 30,000 bushels. "Yes." "My trucks?" "Half of them." "My fuel account?" "All of it for 10 days. Cal let out a long breath. And I lose the guaranteed slots. Yes, he looked at the exclusive contract one last time. Then he tore it in half. That was the moment Leah knew his apology had finally become a decision. For 10 nights, Pawnee County harvested like one operation. Mercer trucks hauled for farms with no storage. High school agriculture students logged bin levels under supervision. Retired drivers returned for short shifts. Prairie Ledger recalculated routes every 30 minutes as moisture changed, bins filled, and trucks crossed the county. Leah slept in the office above the machine shed. Cal slept twice in a grain truck. The old 706 ran an auger at the Table Rock mill because its mechanical controls could be repaired with parts already on the shelf. It did not save the harvest alone. Nothing did. The county saved the harvest because dozens of ordinary pieces were finally treated as one system. By the time the rail bridge reopened, 46 of the 47 farms had moved their grain without catastrophic loss. The last farm had lost part of a bin to heat. Cal paid the difference quietly. He never told Leah. She found out anyway. The next winter, Cal and Leah helped form the Pawnee Mutual Equipment and Storage Cooperative. Members paid according to acreage, but emergency access was based on need. The cooperative purchased a portable grain dryer, maintained shared augers, and funded the monthly repair days without charity language. Farmers did not want to be rescued. They wanted tools strong enough to let them keep standing. Prairie Ledger expanded into drought forecasting, cooperative purchasing, and emergency routing. Leah stepped back from daily management but never left the farm. The old 706 crossed 12,000 hours, then 13. Its engine was rebuilt once, its clutch twice. The seat was finally replaced, but Leah kept the cracked original hanging on the shop wall. Cal became the person farmers called when a machine failed after dark. He answered more often than he missed. At every monthly repair day, he began with the same instruction. Before you touch the wrench, ask who needs this machine on Monday. That question changed the way young mechanics worked. It changed the way Cal worked, too. 25 years after the morning with the wash hose, the county opened the Bennett Mercer Agricultural Skills Center beside the cooperative bins. Students learned diesel basics, grain logistics, water management, soil testing, welding, and farm bookkeeping. The first exhibit was not Leah's company history. It was the International 706. Beside it, under glass, lay the old maintenance notebook. On one page was a short entry in Cal's uneven handwriting. Washed livestock supplement from controls, fenders, seat frame wiring, and linkage. Inspected all moving joints. No permanent damage. Signed Calvin Mercer. Visitors often asked why that ordinary repair deserved a place in the display. Cal answered at the dedication. Because that was the first day I stopped cleaning a tractor and started cleaning up the man I had become. He did not ask for applause. He got it anyway. Leah stood beside the machine, older now. Silver threaded through her dark auburn hair, one hand resting on the faded hood. She had never needed Cal to become poor. She had needed him to become useful. That was the difference he had missed when they were young. Money could buy land, steel, speed, and silence. It could not buy the habit of telling the truth about yourself. After the crowd left, a 17-year-old student named Marisol stayed behind. Her family farmed 80 rented acres and owned one tractor that started only when it felt respected. She pointed toward the 706. Does it still run? Leah looked at Cal. Cal smiled. Only one way to answer that. They checked the oil, opened the fuel, set the throttle. Leah handed Marisol the key. The old engine settled into a deep, steady rhythm. Marisol's face changed, not because the machine was rare, because it was available, because someone had kept it useful long enough for her hands to find the wheel. Leah opened the maintenance notebook to a blank page and gave her a pencil. Write the hours, she said. Marisol did. Cal watched the new handwriting join the old. For most of his life, he had believed value was whatever could be seen from the road. Leah taught him better. Some things prove their worth by shining. Others prove it by carrying people home.